Today we are reviewing the most off-road capable from factory Jeep that Jeep has ever produced, the 2024 Jeep Rubicon 392 Final Edition. However, spoiler alert, this is not actually the Final Edition Jeep Rubicon. They're coming out with another one for the 2025 year. So is this $100,000 Jeep actually worth the price tag, or should you wait for the 2025? Let's find out. Starting off at the front end, you're greeted by this rugged and masculine boxy front end with a 7-slot grille here. It is redesigned for this 2024 year, and I like it. It looks really nice and clean. It's got a lot of boxy edges. It keeps that industrial and almost military look to it, especially with the steel bumper. You've got the exposed screws along the sides here. It really helps it get more masculine, I guess. And then, of course, because this is a Final Edition, it does come with a Warn winch. Absolutely fantastic addition. However, it is unfortunate that this Warn winch is the wired version, so you have to plug in the controller in order to operate it. Not a big deal, but yeah, it happens. Then of course you got some recovery points here. For some reason, there's plastic here. Not too sure what purpose that serves, but you got fog lights, LED headlights with the LED halo. It looks just really good all around. Of course, the wide fender flares, but we'll get to those in a second. On the front here, you do have a hood scoop, and then the black vinyl sticker that almost looks like a topographical map. However, it says 392. You know, there's little Easter eggs all over this car to point out that it's a 392. Also, unlike other cars, especially in the $100,000 price range, this car is only equipped with 2 cameras on it. You get a front camera, and then there's also one in the rear. Moving along to the side of the Rubicon, it does look really nice. You've got, again, a badge here, a Final Edition badge here, of course the Rubicon sticker, and the Jeep Wrangler badging. And then, like I mentioned, you've got these really wide, I mean, my hand barely stretches the width of these fender flares, and you can fit, just out of factory, you can fit a 37-inch tire on here. However, currently the one we're driving has a 35-inch tire with 17-inch wheels, and these bronze wheels with the Jeep center cap, man, they just look absolutely fantastic. Getting bead-locked wheels right from the factory, gotta love that. Because this is the Rubicon Final Edition, you do actually have rock sliders here. Maybe if your feet are small, you can also use them as a stair, because you do have over 11 inches of ground clearance here to help you on the trail. It doesn't help you off the trail though, because I'm going to tell you what, it's a bit of a workout to get in and out of this thing. Moving around to the rear of the Jeep, you do have, of course, a full-size matching all-terrain tire for your spare, and of course it does have these same wheels, and you know, I just love that. I love getting a spare, and I love getting a matching spare even more. And then, you know, you've got the classic boxy Jeep tail lights here. Nothing really to write home here about, but another Jeep badge. You do have a steel bumper in the back as well. It's great. Love the off-road capabilities that brings. And like mentioned, you do have a rear view camera here. Now, getting into the back of the Jeep, it is a 2-part opening system. You've got to open up the bottom, and then you can open up the top. Now, there's some great things I love about this Final Edition that you won't get in other Jeeps. This is just add-on features that they bring to you. You get a little table in the back here. So if you're cooking, you got your beer there, and you're cooking over here. It's all easy to access. And what I love, and then of course a little Jeep Easter egg, right? They're everywhere, all over this. And one thing I love even more that brings the off-road capability and readiness to it is you've got a built-in compressor, and you can select what you want your PSI to end up at. So if you need to air down, air up, you can do it all on the trail right there, no problem. Now on the interior of the back, you do get one of the things that I love most, because you've got to be ready on the trail at all times. You do get a Jeep branded tool set that comes with everything you might need, whether it's taking off the door panels, taking off the roof, you know, working on the Jeep specifically. They've got a tool set right here that is nice and compact that you can use, and I just love it, and it's pretty cool, and it looks nice. Absolutely great. You've got a bag here to store your rear windows in if you choose to take those off. On the right hand side here, you have what looks to be a 12-inch Alpine subwoofer, so you've already got a little bit of kick in the back. On the right hand side, you've got a 12-volt cigarette style outlet here. Now underneath the floorboard in the back, you do have some other things that you're going to need when you're on the trail. This here is a compressor bag, so you've got your compressor line, if I can get it open, and also some chucks. So absolutely fantastic. Like I said, you can air up or down while you're on the trail. And this is a multi-wheel system, so you can air up or down 2 tires at a time if you so choose. Now on the right here, like I mentioned, it is a wired winch. So here's your controller for your winch. But look, you get a good probably 15, 20 feet of lead there. Not bad. The 392 Final Edition does also have a built-in trailer hitch. However, with this 392, you're not going to actually be able to tow that much because this is the Final Edition and you have so much added weight with the V8. You can actually only tow 3,500 pounds with this, especially compared to the V6 counterpart that can tow 5,000 pounds. And on the bottom here, you'll see you do have a quad tip exhaust. Now, because this is an off-road vehicle, I would have loved to see those tucked up a little bit more. They're not really doing anything style-wise, so get them up and out of the way because they are in a danger zone. All right, now moving along to the doors. Before we get into the interior of the vehicle, you know, I absolutely love about the Jeeps is that the doors and roof and back end all come off. So you'll see here you've got these 4 pins. That's how you start taking off the doors there. And something a little bit interesting that you don't normally see on your modern vehicles is you do have a cylinder lock. So you can lock the vehicle by pressing the button here, and then yes, you also have a lock there. Now the doors are quite light and they give you a loud thud when you close them, but that is because they're meant to be taken off. Now you are missing a slew of features that you would normally have on a $100,000 vehicle. The first thing that sticks out to me is, where are my memory seat functions? Nowhere to be found. But you do have a soft touch panel here. It retains heat a little bit, but it is soft, nice and cushiony, as well as the leather wrapped here with the contrast stitching, and then just a little netted pouch. Painted silver handles here. And one thing that I think is kind of cute, I guess, is the little lock symbol on the handle when it's locked. Of course, your side view mirror controls, lock and unlock. What else is missing is, where are your window functions? Well, in Jeeps, like they've always done, they're in the center. All right, now moving along to the left-hand side of the steering wheel, you do have a little vent here with some bronze accents to, you know, stylize a little bit. And then you've got your light functions. So you've got auto lights or your brights, you know, your fog lights, what have you. And then your digital gauge cluster brightness. And of course, yet another Easter egg. Little Jeep and truck going on there. Little action. Also, something else that is new for Jeeps for this 2024 Final Edition is you actually have 8-way power seats, as well as a 4-way adjustable lumbar control. So hey, that's nice. You can fine-tune your seat adjustment without physically doing it. My absolute favorite part of the 2024 Final Edition has to be the one-touch soft panel sky roof. With one touch, you can run it all the way back, and it opens it up all the way to the back, right behind the passenger's head in the rear. And man, I just love the light it brings in, the character it adds, and this is actually a huge winning point against the Bronco. The Bronco, you have to manually pull them off, whereas with this, hey, if you've got the top down and you're driving and it starts to rain, all you gotta do is hit the button to close it. Now, with the Rubicon interior for the 2024 Final Edition, there is only one interior option. So all you get are these full black leather seats with the Rubicon 392 embossed and some bronze stitching going along the outer edges. But overall, they're actually really nice and comfortable seats, but I do have some complaints. In a $100,000 vehicle that's meant to be outside in the heat of the summer, what you don't have is ventilation. You've got heated seats, but no ventilated seats. I would love to have all the doors off, the roof open, be sweating going off-roading, and keeping cool with some ventilated seats. So that's a huge loss there for me. Now, moving along to the steering wheel, it is relatively standard, but for the first year ever, Jeep does have adaptive cruise control. So on the right-hand side there, you've got the settings for your adaptive cruise control, a little toot toot. And on the left-hand side, you've got your digital gauge cluster functions, as well as your voice assistant and phone functions. Behind the steering wheel, you've got some manual shifting paddles, and then there's these little 2 buttons that you are unable to see slightly below those manual shifters. And what those do is they actually change the source of your audio for your infotainment system. Moving on above the infotainment center, we do have a dimming rear view mirror. There is no digital mirrors though, so if that's something you're wanting, you're gonna have to do that aftermarket. Like mentioned, the one-touch operation for the sunroof, assist, and SOS buttons, and your home link buttons, you have 3, but they're actually moved to your sun visor. Now moving on below the rear view mirror, you do have a 12.3-inch infotainment system, and this is of course, using Jeep's latest software, Uconnect 5, so you get updated map icons and, you know, all that stuff. And of course, it does have wireless Android Auto and wireless CarPlay. Also, for the 2024 year, the vents here are redesigned, and I must say, I like them. They work well, they're highly customizable, and they just kind of blend right in. Below there, you do have tons of physical buttons, which is absolutely great. If you're off-roading, though, you're never going to be fishing through the touchscreen for anything. So you have your volume knob, your front and rear defrost functions, steering wheel heater, your heated seats for your passenger, HVAC controls, browse, mute, and then this is for your performance exhaust. So, you know, you can sound loud and mean, or it can be quiet so you're not waking up the neighbors. Traction control, hazards, parking sensors. This is for if you're off-roading to keep a steady speed, if you're in a lower gear. And then of course your screen off button. You've got a 12-volt outlet in your cigarette jack style. I mentioned that you don't have any window controls on the door panels themselves, and those are all right here. Now I do have a huge gripe with these. You only get one touch operation when you're going down for the front windows. And now for the rear, you have to hold it. And also going up, you don't get one touch operation. Why is that? Why did they do that? Why does it have to be that way? Fix it. I don't like it. On the right hand side though, you do have an aux jack, a USB Type-C, and a USB Type-A port. And then below here with these red switches, you've got your front and rear differentials, off-road plus, and you actually have an electronic sway bar release. That's pretty cool. And then 4 aux buttons, so if you're adding more lights, or you already have a winch so you don't need that, but more lights mostly, you've got those already in there. So you don't need an aux jack panel or anything like that. I love the massive gear selector with the red button. It's just really nice. But you got that over here, and on the left-hand side, this is an all-time 4-wheel drive vehicle. There are some modifications you can do to change that and make it 2-wheel drive, but standard from the factory, it is all-time 4-wheel drive. So you've got 4 high auto, 4 high part-time, neutral, and 4 low. And of course, beyond that, you do have 2 cup holders. They're relatively decent sized with this little bit of like give from the nipples in here. And then on the center console, it is a padded center console, but I'm gonna tell you, you don't get a lot of storage. It is 2-part though. So here's the toolkit we have for taking off our windows and doors. That's pretty neat, nice and small too. And then you've got just a little bit of storage in here, and it is slightly textured, looks nice, camo, but so things aren't sliding around in there too much. And then if you open it up all the way, you've got another USB Type-A jack and just some more storage, again with that textured camo rubber. Now, beyond the steering wheel, you do have a 2-part gauge cluster. So you have physical gauges for your RPM and your miles per hour, but in the center you do have a 7-inch digital gauge cluster, and that's more for your trip information. It shows miles per hour. If you've got navigation on, it'll show where you're going. And now behind the steering wheel, or to the side, left side, you do actually have a 4-way telescoping steering wheel control. So you can go up and down, or you can go in and out. Now, it's not a ton of adjustment, but it should be enough to get the job done. Moving on to the rear. Now the door is basically identical to the front. However, you don't have the unlock and lock button or the side view mirror controls, of course, but it's all the same stylization. A little bit of storage there. You've got some storage behind the seat here. And now I will tell you, I am 5'9" and quite comfortable back here. I've got tons of room to the sky. I've got miles and miles and miles. I can't complain. And you've got 2 vents for your passengers, and of course a 120-volt outlet. And then you have 4 USB ports, which is 2 USB Type-C and 2 USB Type-A. Your window controls for the rear, and you've got this little pull down. So you get a cup holders. Another great thing about the Rubicon 392 Final Edition, you know, with your Broncos and things like that, you may have a little bit more space when you fold down the seats, but this is very simple, 1-touch operation. Headrest automatically folds down, and then when you're looking at the rear to the middle, you basically have a flat surface there. Now, if you are one of those Jeep owners that love Jeeps, but you got a kid, you're not gonna go for the 2-door, of course, right? But with this 4-door Final Edition, with the child seat in the back, you do have tons of space for their legs, and you can still fit an adult next to them very easily. So I would say it's pretty family friendly. All right, now we're behind the wheel of the 2024 Jeep Rubicon 392 Final Edition. And you know, I've been driving this around for a bit, for a few days at least, and I must say, it handles absolutely phenomenally. You do get a little bit of that boaty feel, you know, like Jeeps typically do, kind of float around the lanes, but nothing, it's way better than past Jeeps that I've driven especially. One thing I will say, and I mean this goes without saying, I think most Jeeps are this way, but the visibility in it is absolutely top notch. Everywhere you look, you can see out. It's because you've got such big windows absolutely everywhere. And I mean, if you take the doors off too, it only gets better. Windshield is barely raked, so your front visibility is absolutely fantastic. In this 392, sitting on 35s, you're really high up in the air, so you're like the king of the road. I've drove by F350s and I'm bigger than them. The steering wheel has a great feel to it, and I absolutely love the contrasting brown stitching that's going through it. This redesigned steering wheel is quite nice. It's a good feel on the hands for sure. Also, I just absolutely love how the exhaust sounds on this. Man, the performance exhaust is just top tier. It sounds like a classic American muscle car, when in reality, it's just an American off-road car. Now, this 392 does actually claim to have around a 4.3 second 0 to 60. So we've got our race box set up, and we are gonna see exactly how well it does. And just listen to the exhaust when we get going. So let's see, here we go. Well, I would have to say that they're wrong, because I've only got Uncle Steve in the car, and we got a 5.68 on the 0 to 60, but we hit 30 in just 2.16 seconds. You know, for a vehicle like this, that's still not bad at all. And man, did you hear that exhaust? It just sounds so good. Overall, I would say that the drive is great. You do get more road noise because we've got these large sidewall off-road tires, so you do get a little road noise, you get a little wind noise, but hey, we've got doors that can come off, we got a roof that opens up all the way. These things are to be expected, right? It wasn't built for the top tier sound deadening, and honestly, that doesn't bother me too much. I think it's great how it is. You know what you're expecting when you get in it. Now, if it was the Wagoneer or something like that, I would obviously have some complaints then, but not in this. Well, all right, that's about what I've got to say about the drive feel. Overall, I think it's absolutely fantastic, especially for a vehicle this size with a V8. Man, I just love everything about it. I can't even lie. But let's get Uncle Steve in the driver's seat and see what he has to say about the powertrain and the drive overall.
Now it's Uncle Steve talk about the powertrain. Well, Jeep offered 8 models for the Wrangler. That's not including the fully electric one. But today we only talk about this model. So for this Rubicon Final Edition, it has a 6.4 liter V8 Hammond engine producing 470 horsepower and 470 foot-pound of torque. They only offer 8-speed automatic transmission. For other models, they have 6-speed as optional. When you get that much horsepower, you're gonna lose some gas mileage. Combined is 15 miles per gallon.
Yeah, this one's a gas guzzler.
Well, it's better than the Land Cruiser. You don't have that horsepower, right? And then you're still getting like 11 miles per gallon. That sucks. Yeah,
that's very true. I mean, this one though, it's gonna hit you in the pocket when you buy it and hit you like 3 times a week in the pocket when you're filling it up.
But they also have the downside. It requires premium gas. You can actually easily navigate on the website, jeep.com. And they have ton of options and accessory that you can choose from. And not only that, aftermarket accessory is a lot.
I would say Jeep probably has more aftermarket parts than any other car there is.
Yep.
Except for maybe a Honda Civic or something. And you know, since we're talking about Jeeps and aftermarket and, you know, getting into the Jeep community a little bit, how would you feel if every time you park in a parking lot, you got someone putting a duck on your car?
Actually, it's an honor, you know. That's who else doing this?
Just Jeep people.
Yeah, exactly. It's an honor to have people like share the the tradition, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's cute.
Chrysler offer an engine, a crate engine. It's called Elephant. and they're producing 1,000 horsepower. Some shop did a swap. It's just crazy, you know, put 1,000 horsepower in a Jeep, you know.
That is insane.
That is crazy. Like, I don't know what can you do with 1,000 horsepower Jeep?
I don't know if I'd even take it off-roading at that point.
So that is the fun fact for the Jeep that I think is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So Josh, do you think this is worth it to pay $100,000 for this vehicle? You can go off-road.
Man, I will tell you what, if I bought this when it came out, and then just now, about 2 months ago, they announced a 2025 one, I would be extremely upset because it's final edition. And then they come out with another one. But, you know, overall, the new one aside, I do think, you know, getting the turnkey straight from the factory, you can go off-roading right when you get it off the lot. I do think that has some value in it because, you know, to add in lockers and everything, that adds up. There's a lot of time and money invested. And also like the electronic sway bar, those are handy features for sure. And one of the best parts about that is a lot of times when you go in modifying these vehicles to add those things in, you're voiding warranties. This is straight from the factory. You can keep your warranty. You can keep your blood, sweat, and tears, and, you know, maybe your pocketbook a little bit more, and have your warranty intact.
So which one would you choose, the Bronco Raptor or this one?
You know, I'm gonna have to answer that by saying the Jeep for sure, because the ease of dropping the roof is just so much easier in the Jeep than it is in the Raptor or the Bronco. And personally, I'm an absolute huge fan of that. I would have it open almost every time I'm driving. So, you know, I don't want to have to take those panels off every day.
Yeah, for me, I like the way they drive on this Jeep. It's so much smoother than the Bronco Raptor. I drove a Bronco Raptor like 2 years ago. I like the Bronco actually, but I do like how it's this drive, you know, it's really nice, smooth. Doesn't feel like a 4x4 or all-wheel drive. It just feels like a tall ass SUV.
Yeah.
Then you can probably run over people or cars.
So this would be your apocalypse vehicle of choice?
A little bit too small, but yes.
Yes.
Well, Josh, since we don't have a lot of information about the 2025 model, what do you think they're gonna have?
Well, so far we know that they're gonna have some different colors. Other than that, I would probably expect maybe a little bit of stylization changes. Maybe they'll upgrade the suspension a little bit more. You know, this is all just guesses, but I would expect things like that to be done. Hey, it'd be really cool to get memory seat functions, to get ventilated seats, some of these creature comfort things, right? But yeah, we don't know. I mean, this was supposed to be the last V8 Jeep that they're ever gonna make, but we get one more. So hopefully they come through and really make it worthwhile. Otherwise, I think we're gonna have a very upset Jeep community. I guess that brings us to our conclusion. In conclusion, I would have to say that the 2024 392 is magnificent. It's fantastic. The pricing for this one comes out the door at $108,000 for the final edition. If that's in your pocketbook range, great. If not, you can downgrade and go to just the Rubicon with the V6. That one's more around $70,000, $75,000, and it's still just as good, really. You just don't have a massive engine in it. You don't have all the fancy final edition badging, and you get a nice Jeep. Is it worth the $100,000? I could see ways it is. There's also reasons it's not. You should let us know in the comments what you think. Would you buy this one, or would you wait for the 2025, or are you just gonna go straight over to the Ford Bronco? Let us know in the comments. Smash up the likes, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you in the next video.